is because we have attached an undue value to passing exams. And that is why examination, we are being told now, because we have to guard exams, we have to mobilize many security personnel to cut exams. We are actually being accused of militarizing examination. But it is because we have attached an undue and unnecessary high price on passing exams that it defines whether you are a failure or you are a success in your country. That is not right. And therefore, it is important for students and parents and guardians and all stakeholders in the education sector to realize that passing or not passing an examination does not define whether you are a success or a failure. It does not.
Now to Ethiopia, where Ethiopia's parliament has approved senior diplomat Sahle-Work Zewde as the country's first female president. Proceedings on the state television showed cementing another shift in the country's political system from Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Sahle-Work is at present UN Under-Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General to the African Union. She replaces Mulati, who tendered his resignation to Parliament earlier on Wednesday. Now, the president post is a ceremonial one in Ethiopia. The Prime Minister, who's the head of state, holds executive power. Now, there has been lots of reactions on this. Now, let's sample some of them. But before we sample that, let's cross over to my colleague Timothy Otieno, who is currently speaking to Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Monica Juma.
Well, thank you, Brenda. Of course, reactions from that election that took place in Ethiopia, of course, from the global scene, including here in Kenya, where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was among the first state organs to react to the election of President Sahle-Work Zewde, who becomes now the only African female head of state. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, of course, congratulating her and lauding her for her efforts in not only her country's affairs, but also the regional affairs, as indeed she had served as ambassador for both Senegal and Djibouti. And the minister herself, Ambassador Monica Juma, the cabinet secretary rather, for foreign affairs, is here with us this morning on KTN News, granting us an exclusive interview. It's interesting, we're going to be picking her mind and her thoughts in regards to that election. We also have the flight from Nairobi to New York coming up over the weekend. So it's interesting to talk to her. We thank you so much, Cabinet Secretary, for speaking to us on KTN News.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, your office, like I've said, was among the first to react to the election of Her Excellency Sahle-Work Zewde. Give us your thoughts in regards to what happened in Ethiopia.
Indeed, we were among the first ones to congratulate President Sahle-Work Zewde, because we know her. She had just finished her tenure as the Director General of UNON in Nairobi. She is a consummate diplomat. She has served at the African Union, she has served in Djibouti, has served in Senegal, has served in France. So those of us in the diplomatic circles know her very well for her professionalism, for her love of Africa, and for her love for equality and matters of development. So we are deeply pleased that she is going to be serving Ethiopia in this capacity.
And you say, you from the diplomatic scene, it's something very close to you, so you must be very much elated. What does her election mean to not only Africa, but the region?
Well, President Sahle understands this region very well. As I've indicated, she has served in this region, and we believe elevation to presidency is going to add a very seasoned experience in dealing with a region that is fast changing positively. So it could not have been at a better time to have somebody with a regional view and a global view that is sitting at the helm of Ethiopia at this time. So we are deeply pleased. She's going to be a president for all of us.
Indeed, we hope she does.
Yes.
And Ethiopia is making strides, especially in the issue of gender equality, women empowerment. Just last week, the Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, made history by appointing half of his cabinet being appointees who are women. So what does this say of the region's fight and quest for women empowerment, considering in Kenya we are still struggling? We've seen the 2/3 gender bill in Parliament flop more than once. So what message or what lessons should we draw from what's happening in Ethiopia?
Well, I think this is indicative of the maturing of the realization that equality is an imperative for growth. You will know for a long time Rwanda was leading. We got in and got to the 1/3 rule imperative in the constitution. South Sudan, in the recent revitalized agreement, has provided for 35%. Ethiopia has gone 50-50. So the region, something is happening in the region. And I think it's the realization that you would have to have your entire population engaged in the search for the prosperity of the society. And so we are deeply pleased. And again, once again, this region is leading from a demonstrative point of view. Yeah.
Any hopes that Kenya one day may head in that direction?
Indeed. I mean, if you look across the sectors, including in the executive, where President Kenyatta has demonstrated that women leadership is not in small ministries, those that are perceived to be small, but it is in significant ministries, I think that is very indicative. So we are pleased. We are very pleased. And if you look at from the feeder points, the schools, the universities, the performance of girls is very good. So it is not whether it will happen. It is about time.
It's about when it will happen. So hopefully give the country an outlook of the Kenya-Ethiopia ties following this monumental election. What should we hope for as a nation?
Well, the Kenya-Ethiopia ties have always been excellent. They are historical. They are very strong. This is the only country we have a special status agreement with. It is the only country we started with a defense pact. It is a country that we are tied historically, and in many ways our view of the future is shared. So having Saleh is just another addition to strengthening this relationship. So we look forward. There is a very good relationship between our principals right now. So it's another one that it's another feather, if you want, on the cape of this friendship.
Yeah. Indeed, it's interesting. Perhaps, yes, you may not be a fan of football, but just recently we did defeat Ethiopia.
That's okay, friends. It is good we were playing Ethiopia, and it didn't matter who won because we were friends. Indeed. I think it was a good match.
It's interesting times in Kenya. We are just at the verge of launching the inaugural flight from Nairobi to the John F. Kennedy International Airport in the United States. We believe earlier on this week, you did have a meeting just to fine-tune on that journey. Any updates for the country in regards to that flight?
We are ready. We are ready, and on Sunday at 22:55, we shall be wheels up to JFK.
You're ready, you say you're ready. The Cabinet Secretary for Transport as well did say that all is well, but there has been looming doubt on a section of workers from the Kenya Airways who are threatening to down their tools over payment in regards to that particular flight. Does that dampen the mood in any way?
Not at all. I think conversations are going on, as I have been informed, and we have no reason to worry. I think every Kenyan, including the crew on that flight, are excited. And I think Kenya should know that this is a new beginning. A new beginning because it provides for an efficient movement from the East African region to the Western Hemisphere. It is going to open up for more people-to-people engagement, for more trade, for more investment, for more opportunities for our people. So everybody should be excited, and I think we all are, actually.
Have you ironed out the final details in regards to the number of times the flight will be making its way to US and back?
The flight will be crossing the Atlantic every day of the week.
Every day of the week?
Every day of the week.
Every day of the week.
Yes.
All right. Perhaps as we conclude, we cannot also ignore the fact that the president is heading to China shortly for the Shanghai Expo. I believe it will be his second visit to the country this year, and I think his fourth overall. What should the country expect from yet another visit to China by the head of state?
Well, more benefits. I mean, every of these visits to China brings with it a lot of benefit to ourselves, because our prosperity is linked to the prosperity of the rest of the world. And we realize that China is one of the important markets that we need to move our product to. So that is why we shall be in China, led by the president, to continue the discussions that open up what is a significant market to ourselves. Yes.
Will there be more trade deals?
We hope so. We hope so.
And with that, because concerns for Kenyans, especially online, and just generally has been, if the head of state is going to China, that means more debt. For the common mwananchi, they don't see more benefit. They see more debt, and already people are saying they're breaking their backs with taxation. We already have a debt of about 5.1 trillion shillings. So what can you say to quell those concerns among members of the public who feel more debt for Kenya?
I am very pleased you have asked this question, because the media has a responsibility to provide accurate information to Kenyans so that there is no apprehension that is driven by lack of information. It is not true that every time the president is moving, there is debt. It is true that every time we move, we negotiate partnerships that are beneficial to this country. Any discussions we hold is because we are trying to derive benefits for Kenya, and we are really guided by the pursuit of our national interest, because the resources we have cannot enable us to develop at the pace that is desirable for the growth of this country. And we have been very, very careful not to enter negotiations that are burdensome to us. So there is a very clear focus on engaging on deals that are off the balance book, that do not bring burden to Kenya. And so the figures actually speak for themselves. And if you compare us to countries that are our size across the world, you will see that we are not indebted in the manner in which the social media particularly is playing this out. So I think it will be useful even